it's Jeannie B. Today I wanted to talk about, you know, early stages of transitioning and those important first steps. So, we all travel at our own pace. Some of us are in a situation where we need to take it slow. Some of us are really self conscious and, because of our environment, have to take it slow. Whatever pace is right for you. But, there are times where we need to be able to be making progress. We need to feel like we're able to try and experience life as ourselves, potentially without, coming out at work, being out in public. So, finding those opportunities at home, those little things really early on are really important. So like a good starting point for a lot of us is shaving our legs, which feels amazing, particularly that first time. Although be prepared for some nicks. Practice makes perfect. Just changing our underwear. And obviously buying some clothes online and then being able to play around at home in a safe space, potentially, hopefully, with whatever we've got online, and a lot of those things are going to be hit and misses, particularly if we're buying clothes online, it won't fit, it just won't look any good, and that's okay, it's an early stage. But you've got to find ways of trying to, really satisfy some of those, I'm going to say, for lack of a better word, cravings of being yourself, those experiences. It's all about finding the space to experiment. Obviously there are some of us, unfortunately, that don't have a safe space at home, and we have to go slow for a partner, for parents, whatever reason. But having something, whether it's trying on clothes with bottom line, shaving your legs, something that I found very early on was painting my nails. And I don't just paint my nails, I give myself a full manicure because I like the process. I find the process very calming. I found very early on the whole concept of painting my nails, firstly because the concentration really gave me some time to think about myself and enjoy that moment, but also it gives me a chance of pampering myself, particularly with the manicure, and making myself feel and look good, and practice a skill that we'd generally associate with being feminine, and particularly early on when I was still boy moding at work, I would just go with a clear sort of top coat or a strength treatment, so pretty much no one noticed that I was giving myself a full manicure and painting my nails. And it was just about knowing within myself that I was doing something that felt right, that made me feel good, that really validated my sense of self. Obviously, as a teacher, as I started coming out of my shell in my personal life a bit more, during the school holidays, I could start using a colour, which I'd take off at the end of the holidays, and that really upset me, having to take off the colour, because I go with quite bright colours normally, so it's a bright green. I quite often go with bright blues. They're very much my colours. It's not like I go with something that's terribly understated. So, taking it off really upset me a bit. But, at least I knew, okay, take it off and refresh my manicure. I'd, put on a clear coat, and I knew at least that, okay, well, I was doing that, and that really helped deal with that process, and still felt fairly affirming. And then when I did come out at work and was able to be myself, the colours changed. I went from being clear and nondescript to having something bright, which felt really good. But in that time where I was still really experimenting, still very much only at home, and really minimal exploration, which for me wasn't that long. I progressed to being completely out socially with my extended family, out in public, within really probably about 3 months, so it wasn't that long for me. Work took about a year and a half before I came out at work, so that was a bit longer. So I was boy moding at work and then out in public, so I still had to very much limit what I could change outwardly to be able to boy mode. So those things that I could do and experiment with at home were a fantastic release. And probably in those times, I actually tended to paint my nails more regularly, take even more time than I do now because of that, because it was one of the few things that I did have. At that time as well, I was painting my toenails because I didn't feel comfortable getting a pedicure. Nowadays, I don't worry about my toenails. I pamper myself and get a pedicure. It is one thing that I prioritize. They do a far better job and I enjoy the experience. But back, early days, it was again something I could do, build my skill, test it out, see what it looked like, see how I felt with painted nails. And, obviously no one knew about it. So, I could feel safe and just explore myself in a safe way. So finding those ways, whether it's painting your nails, whether it's, shaving your legs, whether it's just experimenting with clothing at home, slowly growing your hair out, maybe playing around with some wigs to see what different looks you like. Getting your ears pierced is generally a pretty safe one because a lot of guys have their ears pierced now and just go with studs. Can be a good step. Before I actually got my ears pierced as well, I had a couple of sets of clip-ons I think I only wore them for about a month, but it gave me a moment where if I felt like I needed to take them off at work, I could, but still have that step and get an idea of what it was like to have earrings on in the morning and put them on, and did I like having things in my ears? Because obviously you don't have to wear earrings to be feminine or to feel like a woman. Since then I've got a few piercings, and I found like it's something that I didn't expect to, but I really do enjoy. And now particularly, I've got my helix done on my left side, and 2 in the lobe, and I'll probably get a few more. It's just something that through experimenting and seeing how I looked with those clip-ons, that gave me a real hit of euphoria. So then I went and got my first piercing and developed from there. So those opportunities to explore stuff safe at the home are really important. Obviously, I do hope that you can do that. I know a lot of trans brothers and sisters can't. It is really important to have a safe place. And those of you that don't, I hope you find that soon so you can, play around with it a little bit. But it can all be at our own pace. Like for me, as I said, it was quite quick. That experimental, really at home phase probably only lasted a couple of months. Then I started wearing much more androgynous clothing out in public. Probably took me about 8 months to a year, somewhere in that, to get to my first dress, which again, I went to the change rooms and tried it on and loved it and bought it, but it then took me another couple of months to actually wear it out in public. Because the dress is obviously that next step in terms of feminine clothing, so it takes time, and it's okay that it takes time. Particularly just wearing it at home a couple of times gives you a really good hit of euphoria. and then that next step of going out in public, you know, that's obviously very daunting and terrifying. Like, wow. But you know, having done it, you get this great buzz, and the more you're able to take those steps in a, you know, depending on your environment, your community, the more you get to take those steps, the more amazing and more comfortable you feel. You know, but it does very much come down to, unfortunately, where you live, the people around you, the support you have. But even if you're stuck at home, you can't experiment anywhere else, just do those little things. You know, you can play around with makeup is another good one. There's plenty of good YouTube videos. I don't plan on doing any anytime soon because I don't necessarily think my skills are good enough. You know, maybe one day. But you know, like, it's easy to just play around, and if you're at home, okay, well, if it doesn't look any good, it doesn't look any good. Although I can tell you now, when you're trying to copy stuff off YouTube and it doesn't look any good, it can be so frustrating. You're like, I did everything right, why doesn't it work? And this looks so much harder than she made it out to be. But you know, just those first instances, you get this hit of, you know, like, oh, well, okay, if it comes off, you're amazing. You look so much more feminine, or I feel good about, you know, being able to conquer eyeliner. And that can just be something very private in your home by yourself. You know, and then when you feel like you want to step out, you can feel a little bit more comfortable with your skills as well. So it's a really good bridging step. So, you know, as I continue to paint my nails, you know, just wanted to talk about those early steps because, you know, I'm not in there now. I'm past that. I've been out for 2 years and 5 months now. I've been on hormones for nearly 9 months. You know, still progressing in my transition, still by no means an expert. You know, we're never experts, we're only experts in our own journey. But, you know, looking back on those early steps and thinking about what tips I can give, those are the things that worked really, really well for me, is finding those little things I could play around with, experiment with, finding those processes and interests, and actually just learning a little bit more about Jeannie and what I liked, and you know, how I like to express myself. So it was really powerful for that. So good luck with your own journeys, and you know, anyone watching, drop something in the comments. You know, I'd like to hear what processes, what experiences anyone else had that they really liked and really engaged with them in those early days. You know, as I said, for me it was nails, but you know, like, it'd be interesting to hear someone else. I'm sure there's a few things that I haven't thought of. You know, maybe it might give me an idea of something I can pick up. Until next time.